Imagine having enough money to buy a whole country. One man didn't find this money. He didn't steal it from a vault.
He tricked the government into printing it for him. This is the story of how one fake contract nearly destroyed Portugal.
Okay, so today we're diving into one of the most unbelievable true crime stories you've probably never heard. It's about a con artist who didn't just print some fake money. No, he hijacked an entire central bank and almost broke a whole nation. And that quote right there, it just perfectly captures the crazy paradox at the heart of this crime. The banknotes were flawless, printed on official paper with official plates. They were completely real, and yet they were 100% fraudulent. How was that even possible? Well, stick around. So let's set the scene. Imagine you're a jeweler in Lisbon. It's 1925. A man walks in and pays for an expensive watch with these crisp purple banknotes. You hold one up to the light, the watermark is perfect, you can feel the raised ink. The paper, it feels just right. There is absolutely no reason to suspect a thing. But this simple purchase, it's the first tiny crack in a scheme that's about to shake Portugal to its very core. So, who was the mastermind behind all this? Well, this wasn't some back alley forger with a shoddy printer. This was Artur Alves dos Reis, a man whose ambition wasn't just to get rich. No, he wanted to literally bend the financial reality of an entire country to his will. Reis was basically a prodigy of deception. Get this, as a young man, he just invented an engineering degree from Oxford University for a program that didn't even exist, and he used that fake diploma to land a powerful government job in Angola. He figured out really early on that confidence and just the appearance of being legit are often way more powerful than the actual truth. Now, for most people, a prison sentence is a wake-up call, right? Not for Reis. For him, it was market research. He spent his time studying the inner workings of the Bank of Portugal and realized it had this massive weakness. It was a private institution that ran almost entirely on trust and reputation, with shockingly terrible audits. And this is where his genius idea comes in. Why bother making imperfect fakes when you could just trick the system into making more originals for you? These weren't counterfeits. He called them duplicate originals. You literally couldn't tell them apart from the real money because in every single physical way, they were the real money. Okay, so having a brilliant idea is one thing, but actually pulling it off, that's something else entirely. How in the world do you convince one of the most secure printing companies on the planet to secretly print millions of banknotes just for you? It was this beautiful three-stage masterpiece of hacking. Not a computer, but bureaucracy. First, he forged a secret government contract. Then, he used his incredible confidence to get it stamped by a notary and even foreign consulates, who were just impressed by all the official-sounding language. Every single stamp he collected added another layer of legitimacy. The final step was the most audacious move of all. He took this stack of official papers to Sir William Waterloo himself, the head of the very firm that printed Portugal's actual currency. Reis spun this masterful story about a top-secret government mission to save the colony of Angola, and that it all had to be done off the books to prevent a political meltdown back home. And you know what? Sir William bought it, hook, line, and sinker. He ordered his company to print 200,000 brand new 500 escudo notes for Reis. The total value was 100 million escudos. To put that in perspective, that was equal to almost 1% of Portugal's entire GDP at the time. The presses started rolling. So now Reis has a new problem, right? A pretty good problem to have, I guess. He's got suitcases overflowing with perfect, untraceable cash. But how in the world do you spend that much money without everybody noticing? Well, his solution was even more ambitious than the heist itself.
He started his own bank. Yes, he literally founded his own bank. By doing this, he could pump his duplicate originals right into the economy through totally legitimate channels, like business loans. But here's the endgame, the truly brilliant part. He started using the money to secretly buy shares in the Bank of Portugal. His plan was to gain a controlling interest and then retroactively make his crime legal.
And here is the absolute craziest irony of all. For a little while, it actually worked. Businesses that got his loans were booming. The press was celebrating him as a financial savior, a national hero who was revitalizing the economy, all with money he had literally conjured out of thin air. But a plan this perfect, this audacious, you just know it can't last forever, right? The downfall didn't come from a brilliant detective or some big government investigation. Nope, it came from a single, tiny, impossible detail. So how was he caught? I mean, think about it. The money was physically perfect. How do you spot a forgery that, for all intents and purposes, isn't actually a forgery? It all came down to a bank in Porto. A super sharp-eyed teller was handed a 500 escudo note, and he just felt this flicker of recognition. So he checks the records and finds the impossible. Another note, with the exact same serial number, was already on file. See, Reis had ordered duplicates of existing serial numbers, and for the very first time, 2 of them had shown up in the same place. And that one little discovery, that was the thread that unraveled the whole thing. The newspaper O Século broke the story, and it created a nationwide panic. The police followed the trail of these duplicate notes, and it led them straight to the front door of Reis' bank. Just like that, the greatest forgery in history was over. But the story doesn't just end with Reis getting arrested. Oh no. The fallout, the real-world damage from his crime was absolutely catastrophic. And it offers some terrifying lessons that are frankly more relevant today than ever before. The financial chaos he created just shattered public trust in the government. And you can see a direct line here. The banknote crisis creates instability, which directly paves the way for a military coup just 6 months later. That coup eventually led to the Estado Novo dictatorship, which would rule Portugal for nearly 50 years. And what about the average person in all this? To fix the mess, the Bank of Portugal had to recall every single 500 escudo note in circulation. Honest, everyday citizens who held these notes, both the real ones and Reis's duplicates, saw their savings just wiped out overnight. The cost of this massive con was paid by the people. So when you step back, what can we learn from this? Reis's con highlights vulnerabilities that are totally timeless. He exploited human trust, what we now call social engineering. And incredibly, he exploited the exact double spend problem that technologies like Bitcoin were invented to solve: how to stop one unit of currency from existing in 2 places at once. His story is just such a powerful argument for systems that don't rely on human trust alone. And that really leaves us with one big final thought, doesn't it? Artur Alves dos Reis used paper, stamps, and a whole lot of confidence to trick the system a century ago. Today, with digital currency and AI-powered deepfakes, the tools have changed, but the fundamental question is exactly the same. How do we know what's real, and who do we actually trust to tell us?
Could a scam this big happen today? Tell us what you think.
Subscribe for more bizarre finance stories from around the world.